She didn't betray you. Something inside her did. Something older than logic, deeper than love, the unconscious craving that lives beneath her smile. Freud warned us, desire doesn't ask for permission, and when it wakes, it doesn't care who gets destroyed. You weren't abandoned by a woman. You were abandoned by her instincts. You didn't lose her. You faced her instinct. She said all the right things. She looked you in the eye, held your hand, made you feel like you were finally safe. She told you she wanted loyalty, real connection, peace, honesty, and you believed her because it felt different, because she seemed different. But then it happened. The cold drift, the silent distance, no fight, no reason, just the slow fade into nothing. You sat there questioning everything. Your words, your tone, your timing. But the truth is, you never had control. Because she never had control. Freud said it clearly. The mind that makes promises isn't the same mind that keeps them. There's a part of her that speaks, and a part of her that decides. The part that left, that wasn't the voice that told you forever. That was her instinct, her unconscious. And here's the brutal truth. She doesn't even know why she left. She feels something shift and obeys it. Not because she's evil, because she's human. Freud spent his life studying that part of us. The unconscious, the silent force beneath our choices, the ancient animal under the polished smile. And when it comes to women, that force is louder, more emotional, more instinctive. You didn't lose her because of what you did. You lost her the moment her unconscious decided you were too much peace, not enough danger, too known, too available, too steady. That moment when she stopped replying as fast, when her warmth turned mechanical, when the spark in her eyes dulled, that was instinct stepping in. It didn't ask her permission. It didn't send a warning. It just pulled her. You're not crazy for feeling confused. That confusion is part of the system, because she's confused too. She'll tell her friends, I don't know what happened. I just stopped feeling it. And that's not a lie. It's a biological blind spot. Freud knew this. Most of what drives a woman's choices isn't her values, her logic, or her words. It's her unconscious hunger for what makes her feel. Not think, not plan, feel. And if you don't understand that, you'll keep blaming yourself for storms she didn't even see coming. You'll keep thinking you lost something you never truly held. You'll call it heartbreak, but it was instinct all along. So stop replaying the past. Stop asking what you could have done differently. Start asking the question that gives you power. What part of her did I fall for? The woman who spoke, or the one who watched in silence and vanished the second her instinct got bored? Because once you see it wasn't you who failed, but her biology that changed, you stop trying to fix the ghost, and you start becoming the man who never begs a woman to fight her own nature. The illusion of loyalty. Her body lies first. She said she wanted loyalty. She swore she was done with the games. She promised this time would be different, and in that moment, she meant it. But her body didn't vote, because while her mind dreams of peace, her biology still remembers the thrill of chaos. That's what Freud warned us about, the illusion of conscious desire. The idea that what she says is what she truly wants. It's not. Her words are shaped by hope. Her instincts are shaped by evolution. And here's the cruel part. They're not always aligned. You gave her honesty. You gave her consistency. You showed up. You stayed solid. But instead of her feeling more secure, something inside her began to itch, a quiet discomfort she couldn't name. Suddenly, the same man she called perfect becomes too much. The same presence she begged for now feels suffocating. The same love she once admired now feels like pressure. Why? Because her body has started to shift, literally. Freud didn't have hormone charts, but today's science confirms what he already suspected. A woman's biology changes weekly, sometimes daily. Ovulation makes her feel bold, flirtatious, magnetic. Menstruation brings irritability, coldness, disconnection. In one phase, she's deeply attracted to strength and assertiveness. In another, she's withdrawn, dismissive, unsure, and she doesn't realize it's happening. To her, it feels real. It feels like something changed between you. But the truth is, what changed was inside her. You didn't fail. Her body flipped the switch. And the worst part? She'll create a reason to justify it. I'm just not feeling it anymore. You've changed. I don't know. Something's off. That's how the unconscious protects itself. From guilt, from shame, from truth. It hands her a story to explain away the shift her biology already decided on. So you sit there trying to fix something you didn't break. You send longer texts. You try to reignite what felt real. You offer more peace, more kindness, more love, thinking you're closing the gap. But you're not fighting her mind, you're fighting her hormones. And that battle is rigged, because in her biology, chaos feels like home. It triggers chemicals, dopamine from unpredictability, cortisol from drama, oxytocin from small moments of connection. That chaos creates an addiction, and your steady presence, it doesn't give her the same high. That's the illusion of loyalty. She wants to want you, but when the storm doesn't come, she starts chasing the weather. So stop listening to her words. Start watching what her instincts reward. Because until a woman knows her own unconscious, and most don't, she will always abandon peace in search of the next emotional fire. You're not dating her. You're facing her past. You thought you were building something real. You thought she saw you for who you are now, but she wasn't looking at you. She was seeing through you, into every wound she never healed. You weren't in a relationship with her. You were in a relationship with her past. Freud called it the repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to repeat the same emotional pattern over and over until the pain feels like home. And in women, that pattern often gets projected onto love. She might say she wants stability, but if her father disappeared, if her first love betrayed her, if her past trained her to see peace as a lie, then your loyalty doesn't feel comforting. It feels suspicious. Her unconscious whispers, "This is too safe. It must be fake." So she pulls back, not because you changed, but because her memory did. Freud said that most people are stuck in a loop, acting out childhood emotions on adult stages, and the moment love gets too real, the past takes control. That's why she tests you. That's why she picks fights for no reason. That's why she disappears right when it starts to feel serious, because her body remembers the pain. And to protect herself, she destroys what feels too stable. But you're not innocent either. You're not just dating her past. You're dating yours. Freud called it the mother complex, the idea that most men choose women who reflect their emotional history with their mothers, not consciously, not intentionally, but unconsciously, through need. If your mother gave you love when you obeyed, if she punished you with silence when you stepped out of line, if she made you earn her approval through self-betrayal, then guess what? You're wired to chase validation from the woman who mirrors that exact same pattern. You think you're in love, but you're in therapy. You think you're being rejected in the present, but you're actually reenacting abandonment from the past. That's why it hurts so deeply, because it's not just her walking away, it's your childhood echoing through the silence. You're not dating her. You're facing every wound you've buried, and she's not just leaving you. She's running from a ghost you didn't know she still hears. This is the hidden contract between two unconscious people. You both agreed to keep the past alive. You, by needing her love to feel worthy. Her, by sabotaging love to stay in control. And unless one of you breaks the pattern, the cycle repeats. Same story, new faces. Freud never blamed women. He didn't blame men. He blamed the unexamined mind. Because until you see that the love you're chasing is just a reflection of the pain you've never questioned, you will keep bleeding for women who were never here to heal you. So look closer. You're not in a new relationship. You're in a familiar wound. The two women inside her. She looks you in the eye and tells you she's different. And in that moment, you believe her. Not because you're naive, because she believes it too. But what neither of you realize is this: she's not just one woman. She's two. Freud knew it before modern psychology dared say it, that the female psyche is not singular. It's layered, split, a surface self and a shadow self. The woman you met, the one who said all the right things, that's her conscious mind. That's the voice shaped by culture, family, Instagram quotes, and what she thinks she wants. She speaks in calm tones. She craves respect. She tells you she wants real love. But then there's the other one, the silent one, the one who never speaks, but always chooses. She doesn't care about your kindness. She doesn't care about your vulnerability. She doesn't care that you bring her peace. She watches. She waits. And the second you become predictable, safe, emotionally available, she loses interest. You feel it when her texts get shorter, when her eyes stop lighting up, when she starts saying things like, "I just need space," or "I'm confused." What's really happening? The second woman, the one she hides even from herself, has taken over. This shadow self doesn't want peace. She wants power. Not the kind you read about in romantic novels. The kind that awakens her nervous system, spikes her dopamine, makes her feel alive. She doesn't want your stability. She wants your dominance, your unpredictability, your edge. This is why the nice guy always loses. Not because he's weak, but because he thinks he's speaking to the woman in front of him. He forgets about the one watching in the dark. That's the real battlefield. The part of her that tests you, not to hurt you, but to feel something primal. The part that will never say what it wants, because it doesn't use language. It uses sensation, instinct, vibe. And when you fail that test, she won't explain it, she'll just vanish. Because the woman who made you feel seen wasn't lying. She was just never in control. Freud believed the unconscious drives everything. And in women, that unconscious isn't just active, it's dominant. So when you wonder, how could she just walk away? Ask yourself, which version of her were you trying to keep? The good girl who loved your softness, or the wild one who needed your strength? Because most men only meet the first. Few ever confront the second, and almost none learn to lead both. If you want her respect, don't just respond to her words. Respond to her energy, the shift in tone. The moment her warmth flickers, that's your cue. Speak to the woman in the dark, the one who never needed words, the one who decides whether you stay or get erased. She doesn't want peace, she wants power. She tells you she's tired of drama. She says she just wants a man who brings peace, someone consistent, kind, emotionally intelligent. And you believe her because you've been taught to take women at their word. But Freud wouldn't have, because Freud understood something modern culture refuses to admit. What a woman says she wants isn't always what her instincts crave. You brought her calm. You showed up steady. You didn't play games, didn't manipulate, didn't disappear. You offered what she said she needed, and yet she grew restless. She stopped texting as often. Her voice got colder, her eyes stopped lingering. You were her peace, but she didn't feel passion. Why? Because her body was waiting for something else. Not love, not comfort, but tension, polarity, power. That's the part of her that never evolved. The ancient layer, the instinctual software still scanning for the strongest signal, not the safest. When you became predictable, her nervous system went silent, and silence, to her biology, feels like death. Freud never used the term dark triad, but he understood its roots. He knew women were drawn, unconsciously, to traits that activated their survival instincts: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. Not because they're toxic, because they're powerful. In the tribal world, these traits meant leadership, the ability to control outcomes, remain calm in chaos, and command respect. And part of her, no matter how evolved, educated, or empowered, still reacts to those signals. You show up with vulnerability, she thanks you and drifts. You show up with boundaries and indifference, she leans in. Not because she's shallow, because you've created friction, and friction is what her body mistakes for desire. Peace is what she wants in theory. Power is what she chases in practice. That's why the guy who treats her badly still owns space in her head. Why she says, "I hate him," and then answers his call at 2 a.m. Why she complains about emotional games, but can't stop playing them, because power isn't safe, and that's exactly why it feels real. You gave her everything, your honesty, your effort, your love, but here's what you missed. She didn't want to feel loved. She wanted to feel pulled. That subtle tension, that emotional asymmetry, that moment when she's not sure if you'll stay. It's not fair, it's not rational, but it's real. And if you keep trying to win her with peace, she'll keep leaving you for the storm. So stop trying to be the man she says she wants. Start becoming the man her instinct respects. Be kind, but don't be soft. Be calm, but never predictable. Be present, but not always available, because she doesn't want comfort. She wants contrast. And if you don't give her something to feel, she'll find someone who does. What she craves, she fears and destroys. You finally did it. You broke through her walls. You saw the parts of her no one else gets to see. The shame, the chaos, the insecurity she hides behind strength and smiles. And instead of judging her, you accepted it. You didn't flinch when she lied. You didn't fold when she pulled away. You stood there, solid, unmoved, unshaken. And that's when she ran. Not because you were weak, not because you failed, but because you took away her last excuse. Freud understood this. What people crave the most is often what they're most terrified to receive. She says she wants to be seen, but the moment you actually see her, without flinching, without blaming. She panics because now she can't hide behind the fantasy that you didn't understand her. Now she can't say, "He didn't get me. He wasn't the one." Or, "He didn't see the real me. You did." And that's the problem. Because when you see her completely and love her anyway, the mirror becomes unbearable. There's no one left to blame. And that level of responsibility, most people run from it, especially when their unconscious is still at war with itself. She needs the story where you're the problem. She needs the narrative where you didn't love her enough, because that protects her from facing the part of herself that never believed she deserved love in the first place. So what does she do? She pulls away. She sabotages. She finds reasons to punish you. Maybe it's, "You're too good for me," or "I'm not ready," or "Something's just missing." But what's really missing is the chaos she's addicted to, the shame she's hiding from, the belief that love must hurt in order to be real. You offered peace. She felt exposed. You offered consistency. She felt vulnerable. You held space for her darkness, and she hated you for it, because now the game's over and the real work begins. But most women, just like most men, aren't ready to do that work. They'd rather retreat into patterns, into blame, into distance, because confronting your own reflection is harder than leaving the room entirely. Freud would say, she didn't leave you. She left the version of herself that can no longer pretend. And that's why so many men feel broken after giving everything to the right woman, because you didn't do anything wrong. You just saw too much, and her unconscious can't allow that, because if you see her chaos and still choose her, now she's accountable. Now she's exposed. Now she can't claim she was tricked, used, or misunderstood. You stripped her of her greatest weapon, the excuse, so she ran, not from you, but from her own shadow, the one you stared in the face and didn't fear. And until she confronts that darkness herself, no man will ever be enough. Not because men aren't good, but because no man can save her from what she refuses to admit is real. Freud's forbidden rule: stop explaining, start leading. You've tried honesty, you've tried vulnerability, you've tried being the man who explains, reassures, and proves his worth. And what did it get you? Abandoned, ignored, rejected. Not because you weren't good enough, but because you were too available, too understandable, too seen. Freud's unspoken rule, the one no one wants to say out loud, is simple. If you want her respect, stop explaining yourself. Start leading. Why? Because the more you try to convince her of your value, the less she feels it. Because real power never explains. It just is. Women don't crave words. They crave presence, energy, tension. Every time you try to justify your actions, unpack your feelings, or walk her through your truth, you strip away the mystery. And mystery is the only thing her instincts trust. Her body doesn't respond to the man who talks. It responds to the man who leads, calmly, silently, without need. Freud said the unconscious drives behavior, not logic. And when you speak too much, you're appealing to her logic. When you go silent, stay firm, and act without explaining, you're speaking to her unconscious. That's where respect begins. Not with niceness, not with empathy, not even with love, with power, self-control, unshakable clarity. So here's the rule: want less, get more. The more you need her validation, the more she pulls away. She senses need like a predator smells blood. Pull back before she does, and suddenly she starts leaning in. Speak less, say more. Don't explain your silence. Let her sit in the tension. She'll fill it with imagination, and that imagination will do more than any speech you could give. See her darkness. Don't flinch. Every woman hides something she's ashamed of. The men who run from it, she forgets them. The men who try to fix it, she resents them. But the man who sees it, accepts it, and doesn't fear it, that's the man she can't forget. Because he's not reacting. He's not chasing. He's not trying to win her approval. He's leading the dance. That's what she's watching for. That's what her unconscious is testing for. Not your kindness, your capacity to remain centered. While she spins, doubts, and tests, she'll lie, she'll withdraw, she'll punish. She'll say things just to see if they shake you. Don't let them. Smile when she tests you. Stay calm when she accuses you. Laugh when she tries to punish you with silence. She doesn't need your compliance. She needs your certainty, because the moment you stop reacting, the moment you hold your frame without force, she begins to respect you. Not because you dominate, but because you don't fold. And that's what her instincts respond to. Not love, not logic, but the man who can't be shaken by her chaos. That's Freud's forbidden truth, and it's the one most men never learn. Respect doesn't come from pleasing her. It comes from mastering yourself. You were never weak. You were just unconscious. You thought you were the problem. You thought if you just said the right thing, acted the right way, loved her the right amount, she would finally stay. And when she didn't, when she vanished, turned cold, pulled away without reason, you blamed yourself. You thought you weren't man enough, weren't interesting enough, weren't worth staying for. But you were wrong. You weren't too soft. You weren't too emotional. You weren't too much. You were just unconscious. No one told you that you were never speaking to one woman. You were speaking to two. The one who talks about love and the one who decides who gets to feel it. You believed her words, but her biology made the final choice. You trusted her promises, but her instincts ran the show. You took it personal when it was never about you. It was about her cycle, her shame, her unconscious programming that's older than language itself. Freud warned us, the most dangerous illusion isn't that women lie, it's that they don't even know what's controlling them. And that's the part that breaks you, when you realize she meant every word, but none of those words were coming from the part of her that gets to stay. She doesn't leave because you failed. She leaves because you're real. And her nervous system wasn't raised on real. It was raised on tension, on uncertainty, on chaos dressed up as chemistry. So when you show up with peace, she doesn't know what to do with it. When you speak from truth, she calls it too much. When you finally become available, she disappears, not because she wanted to hurt you, but because her instincts said run. You don't need to hate her. You don't need to hate yourself. You just need to wake up. You need to stop thinking you'll be chosen for being good. You won't. You'll be chosen when you stop waiting to be picked and start picking yourself. Because the man who doesn't flinch, the man who can stare into her confusion, her mood swings, her silence, and remain centered, that's the man she remembers, not the one who gave her the world, the one who didn't hand over his. You keep trying to win a game that was never yours to play. You keep showing love to the mask she wears, hoping the shadow behind it will feel grateful, but she won't, because she doesn't respect the man who tries to make her feel safe. She respects the man who makes her feel challenged, not through dominance, not through manipulation, but through stillness, through restraint, through presence, through the ability to lead himself when she's falling apart. And that's what Freud was trying to show us all along. You don't become powerful by understanding women. You become powerful by understanding yourself, because when you stop reacting to her confusion, when you stop explaining your worth, when you stop chasing her affection like it's a prize to be won, something shifts. She doesn't just look at you differently. You look at you differently. And that's when the war ends. Because now you're no longer trying to prove anything. Now you're no longer outsourcing your value. Now you're no longer negotiating your self-respect for a taste of her attention. She said you were too much? Good. You were never meant to fit into her fantasy. You were meant to outgrow it. So stop asking her to validate you. Stop needing her to understand you. Stop trying to teach her how to love you. She can't give you what she doesn't even give herself. But you can give yourself something better. Clarity, presence, power without apology. Not the kind that begs, the kind that leads. And when you walk like that, when you speak like that, when you no longer flinch in the face of her chaos, she'll feel it. Even if she doesn't say it, even if she never comes back, even if she runs again, because she'll know you're not the same man anymore. You were never weak. You were just unconscious. And now you see.